Happy to have you along, my fellow tech enthusiasts. I'm Sam Bushman, Jay Harrison with me. When we keep an eye on tech, that's what we do, folks. Very strange stuff going on. We've talked about different people trying to have drones and delivering things and everything else. And the latest people that were doing it kind of surprised us. Jay, who was that before that were doing it? And we're like, man, that's kind of weird. They're doing it. Amazon's falling behind. And
yeah, Walmart's been doing it some. So
Walmart's been doing it. But who else did we talk about? It was somebody that was like a food delivery company or whatever. And we're just like, man, we don't see how they'd be in the lead of this.
I can't remember. I mean, vaguely remember what you're saying, but I don't remember the actual company that was doing that.
Anyway, I bring it up just because it was kind of strange that some of these companies that we believe that, was it DoorDash, I think?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was DoorDash.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, and our point with DoorDash was, man, how...
Oh, yeah, because our question was, how do you coordinate with all these local businesses that you pick up from to get it onto a drone?
You've got two locations, in other words, not just, hey, from our warehouse to point B. Point B changes, A, warehouse stays the same for the most part. Hey, you got to go send your drone to go get the food, and then you got to. It seems a lot more complex. Was our point.
Dropping off is a nightmare in itself, and making that all work. Imagine picking up from some random place. I don't know how they make that happen.
Anyway, very interesting. But now Amazon's in the news, not to be left behind, Jay.
No, Amazon says it's going to roll out its Prime Air drone delivery service to nearly 500 cities. They piloted it in half a dozen or maybe 10 different cities. Now they say they're rolling it out to 500 cities by the year's end, a six-fold increase. So maybe they had a lot more than that. Maybe they had 100 cities or 75 or something by now. But they say with 30-minute deliveries on items under 5 pounds.
Have you seen these drones delivering stuff?
I have seen videos, plenty of videos. Never seen one in person, but I'm not in one of their 500 cities. I can guarantee you that.
Well, where are they doing it now?
You might be though, in Utah, but
well, I want to know where they're doing it now, and then I want to know where the 500 cities are, and I almost want to go witness one. I mean, I'll go somewhere and buy something just to witness it all happening.
Right. It won't be long. I think you're going to have them though. I think you'll have them dropping. You're in a suburb. You're in a bigger city. You'll have them dropping it off in your backyard or something. Sam.
And what do? They give you a little code then when it lands, it's locked, and then you go up to it and punch in the code and get your stuff?
No. Usually they tell you it's coming and they lower it down and then drop it from a lower height, but the drone stays up out of it doesn't land and let your stuff off. It drops it from a safe height and a safe package kind of thing.
All right. Well, just hope the wrong person doesn't find a way to intercept that like they do with key fobs and stuff and just be like, I'm here. And they're like, drop your stuff. And boom, somebody rolls and takes their stuff.
We'll have aerial porch pirates.
Well, I bet they already have photos of the event occurring, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Jay was there and took Sam's stuff, man. Get him.
I'm sure Sam gets a lot of cool stuff delivered to his house, though, so it'd be a good target.
No, I would not be a good target because I have a door cam and everything else, and so I'd be a bad target. If you come out in my front yard and drop off one of those dudes, I'm surveilling them while they're surveilling me.
He's prepared.
Is how that works. You know what I mean?
Yep, counterterrorism.
Anyway, interesting how that's all working, though. But I'm telling you, drones are here to stay. And instead of one company announcing it, which was several years ago, Amazon, Jeff Bezos and company announcing it, and everybody's like, whoa, that's novel. And then it kind of didn't come to fruition as fast as we had hoped. I don't think it was the technology that was the problem at that time. I think it was really the rules and regs of society. Right. About a lot of that, the air traffic, rules and all that kind of stuff. And I think they've got a lot of that worked out now. And so now they're rolling out, and you've gotten multiple companies now doing this. It's not just one company. And when you start to get competition like Walmart doing it, Amazon doing it, DoorDash doing it, and there's, I'm sure, other companies. When you start getting that where everybody's doing it, pretty soon it's going to become commonplace. Because that competition is what makes it, they'll get the bugs worked out 10 times faster that way, Jay.
And I'm actually surprised because when I heard this, I thought, that's cool, that's novel, that's neat. This is never going to really take off in mainstream. I just don't, I was like, man, I don't think you're going to see just dozens or hundreds of drones just delivering stuff all over. But they keep growing this. It must be profitable for them, or by now they would have known if this is a suck and it's not going to happen. And they're rolling it out, so I guess it is going to happen.
Think about this: when they say below, what was it? Below 5 pounds?
Yeah, below 5 pounds.
Less than.
So say you're getting a cable delivered or something.
Yeah, as long as they've kind of restricted it to where it's doable, it's absolutely profitable. If you're going to deliver a cable to somebody, you send out a drone. I don't know what the dollars and cents are, but compared to having Jay or Sam get in their car and
Yeah, that's true.
go to whatever location and pick it up, and then go to Sam's house or Jay's house and drop it off and everything else. And I mean, it's got to be pennies versus dollars, Jay.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I always could see like it when delivering blood to these countries and that don't have any roads and infrastructure. Well, that's obviously profitable, but I just didn't know if they'd make it this far. So I'm glad to see it, though. I like the technology. I think it's very cool, super interesting to a guy like me.
Amen. And I think there's going to be more of it, and I welcome it. Bring it on, because again, you could say, well, there's jobs being lost, Sam. I get it. I also get, though, that the delivery fees should become a lot less, though. You don't need to feel bad if the drone drops your stuff and then bails. I don't know that I need to think about a delivery fee. Whereas when the pizza man comes up and he hands you your pizza and then kind of stands there, he's hoping for a little bit of money. And I feel bad not giving it to him, because I don't think those guys make a lot of money.
Right.
So I want to be cool to them, and especially if they're nice and did a good job. But at the same time, you know what? I just can't tip everywhere all the time, man. I'm running out of money, folks.
Right.
As much as I want to be kind,
aren't we all?
If somebody wants to fill my bank account, I'll crank out the kindness. I'm all good with it, but it's just a matter of affordability. So this makes it to where, hey, there's no kind of discussion about that. Now they'll probably say, "Do you want to tip in advance?" Because the drone's a nice drone. It's a kind drone, Jay.
Yeah.
I mean, it might even, when it drops your package, it might say, "Have a wonderful day, Sam." And I'll get my package and go, "You too, see ya." And so it might be a nice drone, but hopefully what it'll do is decrease costs for companies and really ultimately decrease costs for the consumer, Jay.
Right.
That's the hope.
Very
All right,
cool.
what else is in the news?
Well, we got this Taiwan story. This is kind of interesting, right? So Taiwan is going to be deliberately slowing mobile internet in half-hour drills for a couple of tests to see how communications hold up in emergencies. They do say, however, calls, texts, and other disaster alerts will still work. They are intentionally slowing mobile internet speeds as part of the country's plan for urban resilience and emergency preparedness exercise. So it's kind of an interesting thing to see how that'll go. Again,
And what do you think about this, Jay?
I think, when you take a country like Taiwan, Korea is kind of similar, where a lot of things have leapfrogged. They just kind of skipped broadband as far as a lot of
And
rollout.
it's close in proximity, meaning there's a lot of people packed into a small location.
Yeah, so I think it's going to make a much bigger impact than, say, it would here. Like, if you
Sure.
slowed mobile internet here, people would complain. They'd be like, "Oh, man, I can't get on TikTok or whatever." But I think it's going to make a bigger impact.
People would riot if they can't get on TikTok, Jay.
Yeah, you're right about that.
I'm telling you right now. Now, if they can't get to their bank, it's probably fine.
Yeah, that can wait till tomorrow. That's not
That can
TikTok
wait till
level of an
tomorrow.
emergency.
TikTok? Are you kidding me right now, Jay? No, you're right though, and I think but I think even though it might be frustrating for some people, and you don't like the government having control of the internet, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
To where they can do that in the first place. What I'm telling you is, from a political point of view, that can backfire quickly if the wrong people have their hands on the switches. But
it's kind of smart.
I will
though.
say, from a preparedness point of view, it's a very wise thing to do, Jay.
I agree, and they're only doing it for half-hour blocks, so it's not like it's the end of the world. They do say residents are advised to complete important downloads, online transactions, and mobile payments before the exercise, and they did give the timeline and the times that it would be out and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of smart. It's kind of interesting, and I think they're going to get a lot of good data from it.
Well, and that's the point, the good data. So the reality is, if they can, develop a stronger, more stable, more, I don't know what you want to call it, pivotal technological system out of it. In other words, if it slows down to this and that because of this reason or that reason, can you pivot and pull this lever or do this or do that to still allow the most important communications to happen and things? There could be a lot of real upside to this if they do it right, Jay. If they're
That's
not
right.
tyrannical in their thinking and they really care about the people, and their real goal is to say, hey, if we really have a incident or whatever you want to call it, then we'll be able to respond in these ways. I mean, I think overall it could be really good if their intent is pure. It could be incredible.
I think it's also interesting that, number one, they're not slowing down SMS or messing with that. Same with the voice calls, but they're just slowing the data. They're not even stopping mobile data. So if you have applications like, for example, Telegram runs really thin data-wise. I mean, it can run on old Android phones and these free phones and these not even smartphones like the flip phones.
Yeah, because
and stuff.
Unless you're doing video and all that kind of stuff, it's just really basically chats, and it's just little blips of text, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so it may get people to think a little bit more about that And
Telegram's the chat of Twitter, so to speak.
yeah, it'd be a little more frugal with their data. So I think that's kind of cool. I always like that optimization kind of for data software and everything.
Well, and I like that simplicity too, to where if you really don't have much data for whatever reason, the most important things can happen. That's why Twitter's kind of taking the lead in news, or X, I should say, is taking the lead in news, because you can be anywhere and get out a little blip, boom.
Yeah, I've been in situations here in Florida in recent years where, like I say, hurricanes come through. Everything's down. All the landlines, the phone system, stuff like that. Cellular's just barely creeping along because everybody's on it. Everybody has switched to cellular,
Yes.
and where you can't even navigate almost to a website because cellular's so slow. But Telegram, you can still get messages through, which is pretty interesting. So
I love it. And X, you can still do that too. That's why people use it for news, because anywhere you are, a little blip and you've got your news, to the whole world. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, X is in the news. They call it SpaceX passes 11,000 satellites in low Earth orbit, Jay. They call it Spacelight. That's who's kind of announcing this or whatever. Says SpaceX has exceeded 11,000 satellites in the low Earth orbit. I find that just astounding that there's that many of them. And I, assume there's going to be a lot more soon. And what that really means, though, is that, you've got your ground connectivity in that. And if that should ever fail, you've got your satellite connectivity. So we are building some redundancy here, too.
We are.
And for people like you that use Starlink and some other things like that, this just means more stable connectivity for sure.
that's right. And not only that, but we've covered in a previous episode where Musk and SpaceX are going to be rolling out as a fourth carrier option for cell phones, not just for Starlink with your own equipment to get broadband, but where your cell phone will work anywhere on the globe with no special extra hardware.
Right, and I think that's phenomenal. I also think that Elon Musk is coming out with his own cell phone too, right?
Yeah, he is. They're talking about that too.
And how much of a delay that will be, and if people get used to satellite cell phone versus whatever, and it'll be questionable. I would like to find a package that kind of says something like, "Hey, Sam, you have both services. You have whatever I have, right? T-Mobile or AT&T or Verizon or whatever I have, and then I've got I don't know what you call it, Starlink phone, whatever." As my seamless, and so it just connects to either one on the fly, and I don't know the difference. If I'm in a spot where there's not great coverage, but the satellite, do it. If I'm in a building,
Exactly.
do it. If it's on Wi-Fi, do it. Wherever I'm at, just do it. Give me the best connection, and fall back to whatever you have to, just to make my connectivity awesome. That's what I'd like to see.
And I think that's coming. I think it's already here. You have SOS, satellite SOS on most iPhones now, modern ones, and it's doing that kind of stuff anyway, where you can get a text message through. You may not be able to make a phone call or do TikTok data, for example, but you can get some basic kind of service through that. And I think we'll see a blend like that where you may get, you can put multiple eSIMs in phones too. So you may have your T-Mobile or your Verizon card as your primary, and you might have a SpaceX secondary SIM for data when you're, in a national forest somewhere or climbing a mountain.
All right, we got a quick break, I think, Jay.
We do indeed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen. It's important to understand who we are. We're Tech Watch. We keep an eye on tech. Brought to you by NetworkProvidersInc.com. If you want a free assessment of your IT needs, would love to help you. NetworkProvidersInc.com. And we take care of security, an incredible help desk. We've got strategic consultants and more about AI, security. I mean, just everything IT, we do it. NetworkProvidersInc.com.
Cybercrime is exploding. Take Sarah from Sweet Delights, whose world crumbled after having to close with not being able to bounce back. Small businesses are prime targets, but the right strategies can keep yours safe. Jay Hill, CEO of Network Providers, has co-authored The Cyber Playbook Simplifies Cybersecurity for Business Owners with Strategies to avoid costly breaches and fines, build a strong cyber attack response, secure your business with key protections. Cyber threats aren't slowing down, but you can stay ahead. Protect your business. Ensure its security for tomorrow. Get the Cyber Playbook today at networkprovidersinc.com/cyber-playbook or call 385-446-5500 now.
This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness, and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com. We keep an eye on tech, and we're certainly talking tech. Welcome to the show, everybody. NPITechGuys.com is the website where you can check out the videos, the audio, and a whole lot more. NPITechGuys.com. We're also available on Rumble and YouTube and just about everywhere. Spread the word, share the love. If you'd like us on a radio station near you, get a hold of your station. Tell them to reach out to NPITechGuys.com. Would love to partner with people in your area. All right, this guy's name is Simon Hill, and he's a writer for TechCrunch, and he came up with a pretty cool, interesting experiment that I'll tell you about in a second. But, you know, we've talked over the years about, you know, these electric lawnmowers and these electric vacuums, and then these ones that are robot lawnmowers and robot vacuums, and they vacuum your floor, and some people love them. You know, I've got some people in my family that love them and have one and just use it. We bought a vacuum that we thought would be good, but man, it just didn't work good, so we got rid of it. So I didn't like it. But some of my family loves it and stuff. I guess it just depends on if your house is all clean and it can just motor around. It's really good. Obviously, I've just got stuff all over the place, and that's partly the problem, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, but we've talked about them, and we've talked about, you know, there's limited success. And then we've talked about robots, and they're years off from real service access and this kind of stuff. They're expensive and everything else. But there's a new kind of robot I didn't know they had, and it's a clean your windows robot, Jay. And so he says, this Simon guy says, I tried a windows cleaning robot. Do not recommend, he says.
Now, these are physical windows, not Windows, the operating system, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So he's got this vacuum, or this window cleaning thing. He says, I tested the top of the line. It's, what do they call this thing?
The Omnibot? Oh, no.
Ecovacs, I think is how you say it.
Yeah, the Ecovacs Winbot W2S.
W2S Omni window cleaning robot.
Sounds fancy.
On my Victorian home, he says. Yeah, he's a fancy dude all over. I don't have a Victorian home. But anyway, and he says, you know what? The thing just sucked. He calls it a mitigated or an unmitigated disaster, Jay.
That's not not good praise. 1 star.
Anyway, and I bring that all up just because, again, you got all these robots for specific tasks. Pretty soon I have a lawnmower robot that mows my lawn. I got a, you know, in-the-house vacuum robot that vacuums. I got a Windows robot that does my physical windows. I've got a dishwashing robot to do my dishes and stuff. Look, until these things scale and I can just have one robot just do my, I don't know what you want to call it,
Everything.
chores,
Like Optimus, right?
everything. Yeah, it's not real, Jay. I mean,
No,
who wants a lawnmower one, a vacuum one, a Windows one, a wash the dishes one? You know, I'm just saying, come on, man.
Well, not only
I
that,
I appreciate that these guys are doing these one-trick pony robots, because that's how they back into making them stable and develop the functionality to make more things happen. I mean, I get it. But from a usability point of view, I'm out. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, but you're just switching your job. You're changing your job from being a window cleaner occasionally and sweeping the floors and doing whatever your normal stuff. Now you're a robot technician, and you're constantly emptying the vacuum and flipping the grass mower back on its right side, and you know, and troubleshooting why this isn't connected to the Wi-Fi, and you know,
Exactly.
You're just doing all this other stuff. You're just changing your work from one thing to another. And
he brings that up.
Tedious.
He says this thing gets stuck at the bottom of the window in the thing, and I've got to go unget it stuck. And that's part of the reason that I got rid of my internal vacuum, because it would just get stuck in places and just sit there and try to get out of it and stuff. And then it couldn't get back and charge itself, so it would come home 3 hours later and find it dead. And it's just like, all right, stop.
I think tech guys a lot of times, you know, they're early adopters. They like these things, but they treat them like pets, kind of. They don't mind the extra maintenance because they're enthralled with the novelty of it a little bit. And so, and I don't,
and they kind
fault
of
them for
like
that.
the tinkering and like the,
Yeah.
hey, I got to put it on my Wi-Fi now, and that's no problem. I like that. And they kind of like the effort for it.
And I'm not. I mean, I am a tech guy, but I'm not like that. I mean, I think it's cool. I like to see it. Wow, that's pretty neat. I would never get one, though. I mean, I had one time, a robot vacuum cleaner, but it was constant maintenance. It was almost as bad as I was like, I could just sweep the floor in 5 minutes and be done with this. And this thing would take hours to do the same job. Plus, you'd have to go empty its dustbin, and it wouldn't find the charger, like you said. And it's just like, Again,
And in my house, what it would do is it would basically vacuum half the place, and then it would have to go back and charge so it could finish the job.
Also, to be honest, I only even had this thing because somebody gave it to me because they were kind of done with it anyway. Because I would have never bought one. I already know that they're like, but I tried it because I thought it was cool. But yeah.
But I do have
still
a producer that has one and loves it, though, Jay.
Yeah. I know people that have them, and they use them all the time. And does he have? He doesn't have kids, though. It's a guy I'm thinking of that you're talking about.
Right, yep.
I think kids also mess with them, right? They like to play with them. They'll turn them over. They'll whatever.
Well, or they'll get in the way because the vacuum will whatever, and they'll stand
Especially
there. And
littles
it's fun
that
for
don't
it
know
to
the
bump
difference.
into them, right? Or they want to do it on purpose to see if they can force it to go a certain way, or they want anyway. It just messes with things.
Jesus.
Anyway, or they have toys on the ground that trip it up and stuff like that.
Or if you have pets, they can interfere with them too. So I understand the coolness, but I do want to see, like you're saying, and I've said it before, I want the Rosie from the Jetsons, the Optimus bot or whatever, that can do any of this stuff. He can go grab my push mower out of the garage and mow the lawn. He can pick up a washcloth and wash the windows, or whatever.
It can roll in and do the dishes and take out the trash. Come on.
I want him to get in my car and go pick up a pizza, It's like, come on.
Well, I don't want that. I just want the drone to deliver my pizza. Don't mess with my car.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone. I don't want to.
Now you want one that does everything, that can drive you around. Then you don't have to have a smart car either. If you have a smart robot that can do everything, it's like the Swiss Army knife of robotics. You don't have to buy a...
Well, and that's the question is, are we going to have these single robots that do everything, or are we just going to put robotics in every device? So there's a robot in my lawnmower, and I don't need to worry about it, and it just can,
That is
hey,
the
it's got a
question.
gnarly battery or whatever else, and it can just literally decide it's Tuesday at 3 p.m., and that's when you said to go mow the lawn, so I'm going to go mow the lawn. And, can we put robotics and everything to where everything just does its own deal? The lawnmower mows the lawn, and the vacuum vacuums the house, and the dishwashing, whatever, just takes care of the dishes. And you can have a robotic sink that can say, hey, I've got these arms that flip out of my sink and can just do the dishes. And at some point you got to ask that question, are we gonna have a robot that runs around and does everything like a human? That's our natural way of thinking about it.
Right.
Or are we just gonna have robotic appliances that simply say, hey, if you stack your hampers by the washing machine in this order, the robot can just reach out and grab them and do it, or take out the trash or whatever. So I don't know how this will unfold. I think we'll get more and more robotics, and I think AI is going to speed this up quite a bit, Jay.
I think there's pros and cons. I think overall it'll be cheaper to have one robot that can handle it all. That does give you one point of failure. But man, when you just have all these different bots that have all these different needs, like I said, you're just making another job for yourself.
Yeah, I understand. I just don't know which way the society is going to go. Whichever way they're going to go, it's going to be the most expensive way and probably the least productive way, kind of like they did with Beta and VHS. They're going to go with the bad technology, or instead of going with
they're going with the cheap
IBM's
technology.
What was the IBM's? What was that operating system called?
OS2
or something.
OS2 Warp.
Okay, and they went with Windows instead. We always go with the worst technologies half the time.
Yeah, we always had Linux and in Unix, but it's starting to take off. We'll see.
Well,
I'm always the underdog for Unix and Linux. Like, hey, it's going to happen.
It runs the whole world, by the way, though, when it comes to the internet, buddy.
It's just on the back end. Nobody ever sees it.
That's the way my robot needs to be. I don't need to see it or have it do. I just need to have clean clothes folded, buddy.
That's right.
That's what I need. I just need to have dishes in the cupboard. Well, I don't even need dishes in the cupboard. What I really need is the robot to get the dish out of the cupboard, make the food, put the food on the dish, and just set it in front of me, and I can just roll up and eat.
That's right.
Come on now.
You need one of those hover chairs, like by and large from the Wally.
And that way it can just hover straight to my computer.
Can just bring you
hover to the food.
Cheeseburger shake, and you just drink it.
No. Now oh, come on, Jay. You're ruining my food experience now.
No, you got to blend everything into a smoothie.
All right. Well, here's the interesting thing. I don't know if you know this, but Claude has said, hey, we're going to put invisible watermarks in some of our stuff, and so that people can tell it's done with AI, right?
Yep.
So Anthropic announced last week that it would include invisible watermarks in, quote, AI-generated content to comply with new rules from Europe. Within hours People on the internet said we already cracked that. We can just get rid of the marks, no problem. Who cares? So the battle's on, ladies and gentlemen. And when people tell you they can tell you that something's AI generated, that's going to be less and less a truism. You will not know, and it won't take very long. Thanks for being with us. I'm Sam. He's Jay. We keep an eye on tech. NPITechguys.com, network providers.